twins of the Bible you probably didn't know were twins. Our first set of twins are Leah and Rachel. In the book of Jasher, chapter 28, verse 28 reads, "And Yahweh afterward remembered Adinah, the wife of Laban. And she conceived and bore twin daughters. And Laban called the names of his daughters, the name of the elder Leah, and the name of the younger Rachel." Now, here's the question I have. Were they fraternal or identical twins? Most people will say, of course, they were fraternal, because we know from scriptures that Rachel was the beautiful sister. As stated in Genesis 29, verses 16 through 17, verse 17 reads, "Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance." Also in Jubilees chapter 28, verses 3 to 5, verse 5 reads, "For Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah, for Leah's eyes were weak, but her form was very handsome. But Rachel had beautiful eyes, and a beautiful and very handsome form." Now, it is also known that Laban, the father of the two girls, deceived Jacob. As mentioned in the book of Jasher, chapter 31, verses 1 through 2, verse 2 reads, "And in the evening Laban came to the house, and afterward Jacob came there with the people of the feast, and Laban extinguished all the lights that were in the house." See, Laban knew that Jacob would not be able to tell the young women apart if the lights were out. I, however, believe that the young ladies were identical twins, with the only telling factor being Leah had crossed eyes. Jacob and Leah had 7 children together out of the 13, so he had to at least be physically attracted to her. And although the lights were out on their wedding night, he still couldn't tell the difference. I don't know about you, but even when the lights are out at my house, I can tell the difference between my husband and another person. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Moving on. Since we were on the subject of Leah, that brings me to the next set of twins, Zebulun and Dinah. As written in the book of Jubilees, chapter 28, verse 23 reads, "And Jacob went in again to her talking about Leah, and she conceived and bare 2 children, a son and a daughter. And she called the name of the son Zebulun, and the name of the daughter Dinah." This clearly states that Leah bore them at the same time. Now I know that Jubilees, as well as the book of Jasher, are not in most modern Bibles. But the purpose of this channel is to encourage us all to seek all of the scriptures using discernment, of course, so that we can have a complete story and understanding spiritually. So, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 30, verses 19 through 21. Verse 19 reads, "And Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a 6th son." And verse 21 reads, "Afterward she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah." It stated, "And afterward she bore a daughter." It does not say that she conceived again and bore a daughter. Moving on. Now these next 2 sets of twins I'm about to mention may come as a surprise to many, and may be a bit controversial. And I am talking about Cain and Abel. Now, wait a minute. Cain and Abel were not twins. In fact, Cain and Abel were born at least 2.5 to 3 years apart. I don't know where this lie has come from that they were twin brothers, because even reading Genesis, it never once stated that they were twins, or even ever indicated that they were born together. But the first book of Adam and Eve lets us know that they each had a twin sister. So the first set of twins known to man were Cain and Luluwa. As stated in the first book of Adam and Eve, chapter 74, verses 5 through 8, verse 5 reads, "And God looked at his maidservant, Eve, and delivered her. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and with him a daughter." And verses 7 through 8 reads, "The meaning of Cain is hater, because he hated his sister in their mother's womb, before they came out of it. Therefore did Adam name him Cain. And Luluwa means beautiful, because she was more beautiful than her mother." Our second set of twins known to man were Abel and lxxiv. The 75th chapter, verse 11 reads, "When the days of nursing the children were ended, Eve again conceived, and when her days were accomplished, she brought forth another son and daughter. And they named the son Abel, and the daughter lxxiv." See, here, as I mentioned before, Eve did not conceive again until the days of nursing were ended, which in biblical times were usually between 2.5 to 3 years. Now, here is something interesting I want to share. The book of Adam and Eve has 2 parts, and I encourage you all to read it if you haven't. It is very eye-opening, and I enjoyed every part of reading it. Now, Abel's sister is mentioned in the text, but it does not elaborate on her looks. But it does, however, mentions Luluwa's beauty. And here is why. Cain, as we all know, was very jealous of Abel, but what we don't know is that the straw that broke the camel's back and caused Cain to unalive his brother was the fact that his parents were going to give his beautiful sister Luluwa to Abel as a wife. Cain was so upset that he unalived his brother and kidnapped his sister, and that is who he populated the land of Nod with. His parents, Adam and Eve, were so distraught over losing Abel that they did not have the strength to fight for their daughter. Now, last but not least, we have our final twins, and I'm going to talk about today. That is the sons of Joseph, Manasseh and Ephraim. As written in the book of Jasher, chapter 50, verse 15 reads, "And Joseph's wife, Osnath, the daughter of Potipharah, bare him 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Joseph was 34 years old when he begat them." Also, the book of Genesis, chapter 41, verses 50 through 51, reads, "Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh. The second son he named Ephraim, and said, 'It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering.'" The scriptures clearly state that Joseph begat both sons by the same woman at the age of 34. If this is not convincing enough, the name Ephraim in Hebrew means 2-fold increase, or twice fruitful. Now, do you think they were fraternal twins or identical? I am convinced they are identical. In Genesis chapter 48, when Joseph takes his sons to his father Jacob, Israel begins to bless them. Now it was custom to bless the elder son with the right hand. So Joseph placed his older son Manasseh by his father's right hand, because he was old and his vision wasn't the best. But Jacob still placed his right hand over the younger son Ephraim, which makes me think they are identical, because Joseph became upset and advised his father that he was blessing the wrong son, which I believe he just thought that his father couldn't tell the 2 apart. Well, that's all for today. Please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thank you all for watching and have a blessed day.